Welcome to the iPad Possibilities Podcast, episode number 13, the iCar. Well, welcome, and this is the iPad Possibilities Podcast. I'm Tim, and I'm your host of this show, and this week I have a topic that I'm very excited to share with you, and that is the iCar. This episode will be cut into two different parts. The first part on integrating iPads into cars and what the iPad means for cars, what it means for car manufacturers, and what does it mean for you as the end user. The second part of this episode, I'm going to discuss the iCar. This is a possibility, a vision of what a car designed by Apple could be, utilizing some of the things that the iPad has built into it already and taking that to a further level, a more developed level than it is now, and really seeing what the possibility is of Apple and them designing a car for consumers to purchase, or working with a car manufacturer to create the user experience you expect from an Apple product within a car. So that's this show. I hope you enjoy it. As always, please send your feedback on this show to iPadPossibilities@gmail.com and send it into the voicemail box, and I will have that number for you at the end of this show. Well, the first topic of today is integrating iPads into cars. What does the iPad mean for you as a consumer and using them in your own traveling and your own car usage? The first area I wanted to just simply discuss is car manufacturers. What will car manufacturers begin to do? I could see a future where car manufacturers actually mass purchase iPads and integrate them into the car. They replace the stereo system with an iPad. Currently, there are designs of cars. I think BMW is a brand that does this, but they actually have full navigation systems with screens comparable size to the iPad. What if they, instead of buying those GPS devices, which probably have a more clunky user interface, simply buy an iPad, and the car manufacturers hire software developers to write apps that integrate with the car itself, integrate with the hardware of the car, integrate with the GPS and all of those different features? What if car manufacturers began to do that and start to pave the way for usable technology within a car? So that's the first thought I had. What if car manufacturers actually started buying iPads, integrating them into cars, replacing stereos and GPS devices in this one device that could do much more than anything before it? Think of the possibilities that would have. Is this a possibility? Let me know. Send your feedback at iPadPossibilities@gmail.com. So the next quick thought I had was, perhaps drivers aren't the ones that'll be using the iPad in the car the most. Perhaps instead it'll be users within the car, backseat people, people in the passenger seat, and other people like that. Currently, there's many vans that build in DVD players and different entertainment systems. Perhaps they stop doing that. Perhaps instead they simply have a spot for you to put your iPad there. Have the iPad, built into the car design, like they do with some iPod designed cars now, where you're able to easily integrate your iPod into your car stereo. Perhaps in the future, the iPad will be able to easily integrate into the entertainment center of the car and position the iPad to a great place for viewing video and viewing content and viewing YouTube and all sorts of things that you'll be able to do with this device. So my final set of thoughts here on integrating iPads into cars for you as a user includes a bunch of different things that I'm going to talk about now. And this is really the meat of what this part of the episode I wanted to cover. And this includes finding mounting solutions for yourself so you can actually mount this device in your car in a way that does not distract you, in a way that keeps you safe, but in a way that will be incredibly useful for you. Now, the applications I see here for yourself, for using these in your cars once you get these devices, are incredible. There's many different ways you'll be able to utilize these devices, and I'm going to be referring to the 3G GPS version because the use case is going to be much greater than those Wi-Fi enabled due to the GPS capabilities and the Internet Everywhere capabilities. So the first obvious use case is directions, having TomTom or Google Maps at your fingertips in this very speedy, fast device where it's easy to simply glance at the screen and see where you need to go. With the speed of the device, Google Maps becomes incredibly more useful than it ever has before. The load times I've seen from the demos indicate this. On the iPhone, it is not a fast device for Google Maps, but this device is built for Google Maps. It's built at the speed for which it can be utilized properly. It's instantly shows you the detail that you need to see when you zoom in. There's no delay, no hesitation on the application. So directions and GPS uses like TomTom and Navigon, I see as one of the main uses of putting this in your car and why you'd want to do that. The iPhone is great for navigation in your car, but sometimes it does not do it justice with the screen size. Sometimes you might need a larger screen to navigate properly. So that's one use case I could see. The other is, along with the directions, is simply locating your friends and the people that you know. With the iPad, you'll have instant access to your address book and Facebook where you can find those locations so you can go to the house of someone you've never been to quite easily because you have access to all of that information at your fingertips in a really easy and quick way to access as well. And you integrate that with now TomTom and Google Maps, and it becomes that much more useful than your standalone GPS device. And kind of along with that, finding places to eat is one of the biggest it's one of the biggest things that people have problems with these days. As a group, when you're trying to find a place to eat, it's hard to do. It's easy for yourself, but when you have a group of people there, the iPad's going to make a great solution for finding those places to eat with apps like Urban Spoon and other apps that help you make an informed decision about where to eat and giving you a random option where you can just simply randomize where you're going to want to go, so there's not a big argument about that kind of thing. So I can see finding places to eat and finding things to do with the iPad on the road will be incredibly useful. Just because of the speed and size of the device, it'll make it that much more useful, that much more powerful. You really now, with the iPad, have a full computer at the power of your hands, in the palm of your hands now, that you've never had that capability before. You've been able to bring laptops in the car, but this is going to be a much more durable device. Laptops, they're not designed for walking around, mobile usage, just handing it off to one person. They're sharing information. They're designed for personal consumption. They're designed for that kind of atmosphere. The iPad, rather, is designed to share. It's designed to integrate with others and show others information and communicate with others in a way we've never been able to do before with laptops. There's a big divider with the laptop, with the screen being up in front of your face, and the iPad, it's viewable from many different angles. It's viewable and shareable like never before. It's a device that's a new breed of computing, a new breed of what we are doing now with computers. And I believe that using these in cars is going to be incredibly useful. Besides the use of simply audio. Now, with the 3G model, you have instant access to audio through Pandora, NPR, podcasts, and other radio stations that will be designed for the iPad. You can replace your clunky old radio with your iPad if you wanted to. You could hook it up to some speakers via Bluetooth or the wired way, and you could have a really powerful solution for audio that way too. So there's a wide variety of ways that this iPad will become a key component in using how you travel, basically. It'll be a lifestyle device as your other iPhones and iPods have become. So I see this as being an incredible solution for many people, and simply as a tourist, as a traveling person, it'll be incredibly useful when you're trying to navigate through a city for the first time. There's traveling applications, tourist information, apps that'll become even more prevalent with the iPad. So that kind of concludes this first part and what it all means for integrating your iPad into your car with the present state of things. I think it's going to be incredibly useful in the car. Let me know what you think. Send your emails to iPadPossibilities@gmail.com. And at the end of the show, I'll go over the different ways you can leave your feedback as well. But that's part one, integrating iPads into cars. And I think it's going to be great. I can't wait to try out some of these things when I get my iPad mid-April or late April, as Apple's saying, when the iPad 3G ships out. Now, before we move on to part 2 of this show, I'd like to remind everyone that this show is supported by the iPad Possibilities podcast app. It's an application found in the App Store, and it's available for $2.99. And the main key feature you get with this app is you get the shows 24 hours in advance. I get the shows out now on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for those with the application. For those that get it through the regular feed, you just get the shows on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So I think the Monday, Wednesday, Friday is more convenient, a better schedule of release. And with the application, you get that. You get that show 24 hours in advance. And if you want to support the show, that is one really great way to do it. I appreciate everyone that gets that app. It really helps me make this show continue to get better through financial support that way. So this show is supported that way. And without further ado, we will move on to part 2 of this episode. Well, we are now at part 2 of episode 13 of the iPad Possibilities podcast. And part 2, as I said earlier, is the idea of the iCar. This idea has been around for ages and has been wanted by many to be done for a long time. And I feel we're now approaching that point in time where Apple is prone and ready to deliver this device, if you want to call it that, this iCar. And this is the vision and possibility I have in this, that Apple will one day integrate all of its mobile technology inside a car. It'll work with car manufacturers to integrate its software and possibly even some of its own hardware into cars and create that user experience you expect from Apple within your own car. I think it'll be huge. Even in tough economies, Apple products sell. So if hardware manufacturers of cars integrate with Apple, it'll be an amazing solution. And I'm going to start discussing it right now with part 2, the iCar. Well, the first component I'd like to talk about in the iCar is going to be the dashboard. That area where you get your odometer, your fuel gauge, your oil levels, and all those different things. And I believe each component of the iCar will include some version of Apple's mobile touch OS. You'll be able to interact with it via touch, and I think by the time this comes out, we'll be at OS 5.0 or later, and we'll have voice entry. We'll be able to actually talk to our car, talk to our Apple devices, and it will know what to do with that. It'll be a natural way to interact with that via either speaking or voice. So the dashboard, I envision all of these different components having one really cool feature, which is you're going to be able to design your own user interface for whatever you're looking at. For instance, with the dashboard, you'll be able to leave out different readings that you don't need. There's different areas that you might not want to look at all the time. So you can simply hide those components that you don't need to look at, that just clutter it up. So you can create a very simple car dashboard. So if you only want to see the speed you're traveling, how much gas you have left, how hot your engine's running, you can do that. You can get rid of the clutter. You can get rid of what you don't need. And instead, you can simply concentrate on the task at hand, and that is driving. Now, another thing I think will be incredible with the Apple dashboard is imagine as you go on business trips. And one of the biggest pains of doing business trips is keeping track of how many miles you've traveled, how much gas you've put in your car on each business trip. Now imagine with Apple technology, you'll now be able to get an email that tells you and tells your financial person, whoever you give those readouts to get reimbursements for your traveling or for your taxes. You'll now just simply have an email, and that'll be consolidated at the end of the year for all the information you need for tax returns and all that kind of information. You'll have your odometer and gas readings emailed or synced to a device, an iPhone for instance, that can be used for helping you with your tax returns. This is one big problem that many people experience. I've experienced it as I'm traveling, as I'm trying to keep a track of how many miles I'm using. I forget many times to do that. And if there was an easy solution, I think Apple could do this, it would alleviate a lot of book work, a lot of aggravation by those who travel a lot. Semi-drivers I could see as an instance of this. And I think this will be a great solution that has not been around yet, and I'm not sure why it hasn't. I think it's an obvious one. I think Apple would be a great person, a great company to do that. And I think that's one great thing that'll come about with the Apple dashboard. Now, another thing I think will be incredible is the Apple dashboard will be able to, I believe, have access to all the information under the hood. So Apple will be able to inform us via an email or something like that. It might be different in the future, but Apple will inform us in some manner if the car is having problems. It'll email us when we're very close to needing an oil change. It'll give us reminders, and it will tell us what's going on with the car in a user-friendly manner. A lot of people don't know how to read car hardware and don't really know a lot about cars. Apple could tell us the information we need to know on how to keep our cars running well, and it could let us know when problems are going to arise and help us fix the problems before they even happen. You'll be able to plug in a USB like iPhone that way and simply get the readings downloaded to your iPhone and brought in to the mechanic to show them what's going on with your car. And I think this will be just another great feature of the Apple dashboard. So this is my vision of the possibility of the Apple dashboard as one component of the iCar. The second component, and it's a very important component to the Apple iCar, is the Apple Radio. And this is the replacement for your stereo, your radio system, your audio system in your car. And what I see as a possibility is you'll have a device built into the car, a screen basically, perhaps halfway between the size of an iPad and an iPhone, some mid-range sized screen you'll be able to access the information you need to for audio. So you'll be able to access over 3G or some other wireless technology, Pandora Radio, NPR, different radio station apps done through the internet, as well as FM and satellite radios. I believe that Apple will actually build in, a radio FM transmitter into this device, and you'll be able to get access to your regular content as well as internet content. I see Apple as a big proponent of pushing podcasts forward and giving users the ability to listen to podcasts on the road easily. For the non-technical person, the non-geek, Apple will bring podcasts to the forefront and give those guys like this show a good audience, basically. A way to bring it to your car, bring it to the place that you actually listen to your content, and bring it to you that way. I think we'll have other streaming services and other audio integration that way. I think we'll be able to integrate with this Apple Radio from iPhones. We'll be able to have someone in the back seat, see your kids or some other passengers that, hey, they want to listen to a different song. They'll be able to interact with it via their iPhone and change the station, change what's playing, change the volume, interacting over Bluetooth or some other technology, and they'll be able to interact with it in ways we've never been able to before. And another incredible thing I see coming within the next few years, Apple has purchased land to build their servers, their data centers. And I see in the next few years, our iTunes libraries will be going online. They will be in the cloud, available to us anywhere we have an internet connection. I can see in the future that this Apple Radio would be able to interact with that information, with your iTunes library, so you could have access to all of your music anywhere you go. And now you don't need to sync this with anything. It just automatically knows what you have. You could actually download from that server if you're going to be in an area without any internet connectivity, and that will bring all the music together. It'll bring together Pandora, other internet radio stations. It'll bring together FM and satellite radio. It'll bring in podcasts. It'll bring in your own collection in this consolidated place with a great user interface to access all this information. And I think the Apple Radio will be incredible and something that will just blow people away when they see it. And I think this will be a great component for the Apple iCar. So, along with the same kind of idea of the Apple dashboard is the idea of being able to control different settings in your car, like heat, defrosters, and things like that, with another touchscreen device, basically just a touchscreen integrated into your car. And with like the dashboard, you'll be able to control what elements you want. And I think this will be even more useful in this use case than it was in the Apple dashboard. Because in this use case, say you live in a very warm environment and you have no need for the heat control. But the heat control is going to be on there anyways with a built-in hardware device. Now with this, you'll be able to control what you want on and to see what you can control. So now you can just have the AC as a way, you can just turn on the AC and control how cool or how much AC you have, but get rid of the heat, get rid of the things you don't need, get rid of the defroster when you don't need it because it's summer outside and it's useless there. You can make room for other things like the weather. What's the weather going to be like today? You'll be able to pop in a Yahoo weather widget or a Google weather widget. You'll be able to put in widgets on this area by your stereo where you'll have relevant information that you need access to simply because it's useful information. The latest Twitter update might be in there as well. Whatever widgets, I think the user will be able to pop in different widgets as they see fit. They'll be able to take out different elements like heat and AC as they see fit. And I think this will be another great component to the iCar. Simply being able to swap in and out widgets and ways to interact with your car. And I think with Apple's iCar, you'll be able to interact with your car as a hardware device like you've never been able to before. You'll be able to get in there and understand what's going on with the car, and you'll be able to interact with it in ways we've never seen before, in a way that'll simply blow your mind. Okay, now the final component of the Apple iCar is Apple location. I see with the iCar, you'll have GPS information at the ready at all times. And what this means is all the devices in your car will be able to interact with that. So now the Apple dashboard, when it tells you are low on fuel, it now instantly, without you doing anything, locates gas stations around you and other things like that and tells you how to get there. There will be a screen someplace on the Apple iCar that gives you relevant information that you need. And it could show you a GPS map with different things and how to navigate places, but it doesn't always have to do that. And this screen will be activated by location features and by voice commands. You won't be turning it on with your fingers or things like that. You'll be able to interact with it with your fingers, but I think it'll be done by voice and location information. So with this instance, hey, you need to get gas. You're running out of gas. You will not be able to drive this car any longer if you do not fill up. So I believe it'll tell you where to find gas, but more importantly, I think it'll actually, not more importantly, but another cool thing it'll be able to do, it will be able to find the prices of gas stations within a 5-mile radius of you and direct you to the lowest priced gas station around you. It'll instantly do this so consumers can truly find the best deals and not drive for 20 miles trying to find the best deals, but instead, if it's reasonable, if it's close to me, I might as well get the lower price. So within a 5-mile radius or a 10-mile radius, it'll find that lower cost gas station and automatically direct you to it via voice interaction or on-screen commands on how to get there. And with Apple Location, I think this will be incredible. Another incredible thing I think about Apple Location would be is with garage doors. You no longer need a garage door opener, right? Now, as you arrive at your house, the garage door instantly opens and instantly closes when it detects your car is inside the garage. And that's going to be incredible. The different things that arise when your car knows where you're at. When you get home, it could be hooked up with the iHouse. I'm not going to talk about this in great detail, but say your lights are hooked into a system with Apple, and when your car arrives at your house lights turn on. All the house lights turn on that you need, that it's set up properly to do. The music continues from your car that you're listening to inside your house. It automatically transfers what you were listening to there to inside your house because it knows where you're at. So with the iCar, that location information becomes incredibly valuable because now as you arrive home, it can automatically help you transition to your nightlife, transition to your home life. It can help you transition to that by continuing to play whatever you're playing in your car, in your house. It can turn on your lights in your house. It can do different things like preheat the oven. Right? So say you need to preheat the oven and you're 10 minutes away, your car knows this. So it can easily integrate with your house now and actually start preheating the oven and preparing to get your food ready. This is something that has never been really a user-friendly thing to do in the past. And I think with the iCar and location information, this will now become a possibility. This will now become something feasible and something that everyone will be able to do. Within the next 5 years, this will be what we'll be able to do with cars and integrating that with the rest of our life. They won't just be objects that we use to get from place to place. They'll be integrated into our life as a lifestyle device like the iPad, like the iPhone, like the iPod. It'll be the next big thing in technology. I think cars are extremely underpowered as far as technology is concerned. They're not where they should be. When you look at where computers have gone, when you look at where phones have gone, cars are left in the dust right now. And I think Apple would, if they come out with this, it'll be incredible. It'll blow our minds. And I will be very interested to see if the things I'm talking about will actually come true one day. And I'd love to see what I'm imagining now and seeing as a possibility now versus what will be in the future. Now, this kind of information I think is relevant because all of this is going to be run by iPad type interfaces, iPad OS, So I think this is relevant for this show. And just finishing up the location stuff, I don't want to get on a tangent here, but with the location stuff, I think it'll be incredible that now as you're getting close to a destination where you're picking someone up, it'll instantly email that person and different things like that. I see location being huge with this. It'll integrate with everything. Your whole digital lifestyle will be location based, and the car is going to be a huge component of that. So that's the last big component I see in the Apple iCar. So those were my thoughts on the Apple iCar. I think it's going to be a real product one day. I think Apple has been developing this technology from the iPhone and now to the iPad. The next logical step would bring this same technology to your automobile. Bring it to your car. Have Apple partner with automobile makers and integrate it into any car that you need. And I think it'll be incredible. I think it'll be a huge hit. I think it'll be one of the next big things. As Ken Ray was talking about this week, the next big thing. What is the next big thing? I think this could be the next big thing. And I am really looking forward to seeing how it all turns out, how it all becomes in the future, how car technology advances, and how our tablet devices, how our phones begin to integrate with it more and more like they never have in the past. I think it's incredible. I think it's a great possibility, a great future of what can be and what will be. So as always, just please send your feedback. I'd love to hear, especially on this topic, what do you guys think about this? What do you think about the iCar? What do you think about integrating iPads into cars? And how will you be using your iPad in your car? What other possibilities do you see in this that I didn't think of, that I didn't talk about? So I'd love to hear your feedback on the Apple iCar. I think it's going to be amazing to see what happens. I'd love to hear your feedback. Send that feedback to iPadPossibilities@gmail.com. And if you want to send in voice comments, I'd love to play some of those back on the future episodes and what you guys think about the Apple iCar. So send those comments in the 209-542-iPad. That's 209-542-4723 for those without the alphabetical keyboard there. So send those comments, and I'd love to hear what you guys think. And if you want to support this show, as I said earlier, you can do that financially by purchasing the iPad Possibilities podcast app found in the App Store for $2.99. And the main feature with that is you get the shows 24 hours in advance, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, instead of Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And you can also donate to the show at thepossibilitiesnetwork.com. This show is a part of that network. It's an entire network devoted to shows on possibilities and potential, and this show's a part of that. If you want to find more information about this show and other shows, just go to thepossibilitiesnetwork.com. We have a couple daily shows on there right now and some other shows being launched within the next few weeks. And another great way to support this show non-financially is just simply leave a review on iTunes. I appreciate all the reviews you guys leave. They really help me out understand what you like and what you don't like. They help me get a grasp of what I'm doing right, what I need to improve on. And you can do that via review or just simply send me an email. But I do appreciate the reviews, and also just simply subscribe in iTunes and simply spread the word about this podcast to those that are interested in Apple products. Just let them know about this podcast. And I really do appreciate all the feedback, all the support you guys give me. So that concludes this episode 13 of the iPad Possibilities podcast, the iCar. And we will return. I will speak again on Friday and Saturday to you with a weekly thought, and then again on the live show Sunday night. If you wish to join us on the live show, we meet every Sunday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And for some more information on the live show, just go to thepossibilitiesnetwork.com, and you'll find all the information you need there. So until Friday, this is Tim Chatton of the iPad Possibilities podcast. We will speak again soon.